Welcome to Storytimer at Large. Karen Kern. Karen Kern was driving home on October 29, 1967. The 20-year-old secretary had been visiting friends in Charleston, Illinois. She turned off at a gas station in Beaver Dam, Ohio. When her car had sort of overheated, Karen left the station after it cooled down, but she was followed and forced to pull over off to the side of the road. She was raped and murdered near Perrysville in Wood County, Ohio. Karen Kern had been brutally assaulted and shot. Witnesses identified Mark David Hodges as the person who followed her. Again, let me repeat, multiple witnesses identified Mark David Hodges as the person who followed her. Ballistics evidence even tied him to the crime. But the jury felt that Hodges could not have done such a horrible crime, despite the testimony of police, witnesses, and ballistics evidence. All the jury heard was that a Green Beret and a husband and father. He had a family to support, and he was acquitted. In 1968, Mark David Hodges was tried for the 1967 shooting of Denise Fortner of Napoleon, Ohio. Hodges again followed her from the gas station that he worked at and forced her to pull over. She was on her motorcycle. She thought perhaps she had left something, or the mechanic needed to tell her something vital about her motorcycle. Maybe something was wrong. Instead, Mark David Hodges shot her in the abdomen. Denise survived the shooting and positively identified Mark David Hodges. Her testimony and ballistics evidence was again dismissed by the jury. Mark David Hodges was acquitted again for the second time. He then gave an interview for the newspaper in which he smugly says that, the police just gave up. He grins like the winner of a race or a ball game. On December 22, 1972, Dawn Menery, a social worker from Findlay, Ohio, noticed a red light flashing behind her. She pulled over. She got out of the car to speak with the person that she thought was a police officer. Unfortunately for her, it was Mark David Hodges. He ordered her to turn around so he could handcuff her. She refused. He pulled a knife. As she was defending herself and struggling, a farmer stopped to see what was going on. Mark David Hodges yelled at the man, "She's on dope. Get the sheriff." The farmer drove away to call the sheriff, leaving Dawn alone with her assailant. Luckily for Dawn Menery, Hodges also fled the scene then. Hodges was charged and tried and convicted of assault with intent to kill. This time, the trial was not a jury trial, but a court of common pleas. A court of common pleas is a panel of 3 judges. These 3 judges heard the evidence and the testimony of witnesses, and they found Hodges to be guilty. He was sentenced for assault with intent to kill, 1 to 15 years, and 1 to 20 years was an additional sentence that was to be served consecutively, not concurrently, but consecutively, another 20 years for assault with intent to cut. So potentially a 35-year sentence. Mark David Hodges ended up with more time added after he escaped. He was free for only 24 hours before he was captured. I haven't found the date of that escape and how that all took place. I'm still looking for that. In 1980, Mark David Hodges was up for parole. The parole board denied his request. His father died in 1983, and Mark David Hodges is listed in the obituary as living in Lucasville, Ohio. That's the town where the correctional facility is located, so we can assume he was still incarcerated then. Was he still in Lucasville when the infamous prison riot happened in 1993, beginning on Easter Sunday? I don't know. I'm still looking for the date of his release, so I don't know. Um, that was an intense prison riot. And if you're interested in it, again, that was 1993, Easter Sunday, if you want to check out that horrific bit of history. Mark David Hodges died in 2008. If you look at his obituary, you might think a famous politician or a great general had died. He was indeed a veteran, and so the patriotism is somewhat fitting. But thinking of his victims, though, the tone of the obituary seems like a final slap in their faces. Hodges was living in Cincinnati for some years before his death. He ran a repair business known as the Tinker. What years did he live in Cincinnati? It would have been some time after 1983, when his father died, and before his death in 2008. I'm not sure of the years, though. Where was that business located? Did he go into people's homes in the course of that work? Are there other crimes that can be linked to him there? Imagine having him in your house working on something and not knowing of his violent and murderous background and his obvious hatred of women. Are there other crimes in the Cincinnati area during his time there that can be linked to him? Karen Kern deserved a long life, and the other young women deserved lives that were peaceful and free from violence. But Karen's life, especially, her life was taken by a killer and dismissed by a jury. Can you imagine? You've been murdered, and the jury decides that this man in front of them is worth more than you, the victim who's been murdered. Rest in peace, Karen Kern. You deserved better.